Hi folks, and welcome back to Girl Talk. We are so lucky today to be back here with Melanie Fritz from Madison Medium. If you all caught the show last time, Melanie and Elise had a read on air, which went very well and was very intense. And what you may not know is afterward they met for another read, which was several hours. And Melanie is back here today to bring some clarity with what you saw on Girl Talk last time and also fill us in on what happened in private. So please welcome back. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, it was really hard to leave her. Just 5 minutes and then to have to go out afterwards so you guys could finish was really tricky. But I got a hold of her afterwards and she came over and we spent a good couple of hours actually.
Yeah, we did.
Just the end didn't seem super positive, and I know that it just feels like a lot has changed since our initial meeting, and it seemed like the tone of what I was saying wasn't as positive as I had hoped that it would be. And I wanted to make sure that we met so that we were able to dig in further and figure out what it meant and what the being stuck meant and that type of thing. And I really feel like we got to that, I think you did too, actually. We got to the root of that. But what I noticed, what felt really important to me as we did that 5-minute stint was the numbers were really standing out, some of which were caught on film and some which weren't. And you were making sense of that. But a lot of times I'm not 100% sure when I say 24, what that means to you and how important it is and that type of thing. And so really what I took away from it was the months and the dates or the numbers that we ended up bringing up here as positive affirmations, things that there's no way that I could have known. But I think it's more important to know what you took away what they need to know what you took away from it more so than anything.
And I find that really interesting because what you're saying you often don't know what it is, but we could see from Elise's reaction that she knew what it was.
I know, and in the 5 minutes I don't want to waste any time with my blabber.
No,
so,
tell us what things meant to you.
So right away, you started the interview and you wanted to connect with my grandma, who you've connected with before, but I already knew that wasn't going to happen because Kevin and I had a conversation that morning, and I just knew that he was going to show up and he was going to be the stronger presence that day. And because we have some unfinished business, and it's in the best way, but we have a conversation that still needed to happen. And with that, you dove in right away and you said a lot has changed from our previous meeting, and it had. I mean, a lot of people have different theories about what happens after suicide. But I believe that Kevin was still with me because I didn't want to let him go. And months after our initial meeting, I did. I had kind of like a ritual with myself, and I let him go. And I think that is what you meant, and that is what you touched on when you said he didn't know that it could be this good because he's in a different place. Moving forward with that, with the positive affirmation, yes, you mentioned 24. And he would have been 24 this year. But going further than that, I was having a conversation with myself that morning before our interview, and I was thinking, gosh, if he was with me right now, he would be 24, and I would be 28. So it went just a step further. Also, I'm reading my notes because there's so many things. Also, you mentioned about me not being able to kind of explained the relationship or our connection with one another, and that is really difficult because he and I knew each other for such a small fragment of what people would consider a lifetime, but it was so impactful in my life. Not only after his death, but especially before. I mean,
you just meet people and you click. You know, there are just some people in this world that soulmates come in many forms, and they can be in your life for a minute, they can be in your life for years, but I have goosebumps when I say this too, like you just know when you meet them, and I truly believe that that's what he was acknowledging for you so that you can set it aside.
Yes, and then also just more affirmation, you mentioned the funeral service being like something specifically difficult for me, and specifically difficult was I knew hardly anyone. Like I said, it was such a small fraction of time that we were together, but they all welcomed me with such open arms, and I went in thinking that there was going to be a lot of like ill will towards me because of how things turned out, and there wasn't. And I think that he wanted to kind of like give me a hug in that way because it was one of the most difficult things that I've ever been through. There's so much more I want to talk about, but we have to go.
I know. God, well, I didn't even realize we're out of time because it's like captivating. But thank you for sharing that. It's a hard thing to do on TV, both of you.
I am so glad. I am so glad, though. I mean, you've mentioned that before, and I've had some friends and family that have watched the interview on TV, and it wasn't hard for me. I am so glad that I get to share the gift that Melanie has given with me, with all of you, and hopefully you will come to her if you feel it's right for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very nice.
If you're grieving or suffering from the loss of a loved one, Melanie Fritz, Madison Medium, is fabulous, as you can see. So thank you, Melanie, for sharing that. We'll be back with more Girl Talk after the break. Stick around.